Twin Cities, but I've been in California now for 4 years. So I have acclimated to that weather, and now I'm back in freezing. I told my parents I was going to bring sunshine, and when I landed, I called my dad, and he said, "It's snowing. Where's the sun?" Clearly not doing my job. I'm going to share, first piece I'm going to share with you tonight.
Go for it.
I know, they know I'm here. Wait, so that succeeds. Kind of not a good contrast for this piece. First piece I'm going to share with you tonight is actually about Dia de los Muertos in honoring of my tia Rosie. She passed away this summer, and so I wrote this piece the day she died. It's a work in progress, but I think it's relevant for the day. And again, my poems are a lot shorter than yours, and you talk, so just get to it. No, it's good, it's good. All right. My tia Rosie died today. I was in northern Minnesota, as I read the text from my prima in Chicago. "Just thought you'd want to know," she said. Thought I want to know, I did. Wanted to know everything. Blank stares and sepia photographs framed on my bookshelf. Family faces never forgotten, because we never even met to make memories. Each year in grade school, they would ask us to trace our lineage. In 3rd grade, I said I was Native American. Dakota, I think. Not like the other brown kids in my class, all adopted by white families. I looked like my mama, small nose and freckles. I called my grandparents on the West Coast. I knew their voices better than their faces. Could pick up the Calo Islos accent, their orales and mijas sending love through long-distance phone calls. Each year I would ask them, yeah, Papa, so we have to write a report about where our family's from. You're Mexican, Chicano. I don't really know, mija. I think we're from Chihuahua. Yeah, that's why you're so tall. They're all tall from there, he'd say. I'd call my abuela, Nani, can you tell me where my my great-grandparents are from? Mija, you know we're Spanish. Clearly in denial. She'd say, our family was in the vino business. If your great-grandfather hadn't been cheated, we'd probably all be in Napa now. Each year a different story, a new memory unfolding, a new fantasy created. But this year there is death. There has always been death. Now I'm just old enough to recognize it. Dying births anxiety, attention and forever losing recollections never possessed. In 6th grade I was taught that each memory turns into a wrinkle in the brain, a small river carving through muscle. My rivers mark Pythagorean theorems, the opening lines of the Constitution, the capital of Vermont. My tia Rosie, her life is neurologically absent. Nice. So these things crack me up. My students use them, and when you see open mics now, people are like up with their iPhones trying to read. It's really changing. And I was like, I'm never going to be that person. And then I'm going to become that person right now because I came and realized I didn't bring any poetry with me. So thank God my sister could send me some things. All right. So this next piece I'm going to read, and then we can swap back, is in dedication to Oscar Grant. For those of you who don't know or don't remember, he was a black man in the Bay Area that was shot in '09 by a white BART police officer, and I wrote this the day that the officer that shot him received his sentence. So they found him guilty of manslaughter, and during that day when they were sentencing him, there was a huge protest and riot, and so this poem is inspired by that. Freeze. Rubber roll sneakers stick like stamps to the street's pavement. Black man lays down his dreads tied back with a blue binder, mere his wrists locked behind his back. Face centimeters away from police riot boots, tall platforms of power tied over unstable feet. A young white girl snaps photos. Another rolls the video camera on her cell phone. Silent street angels, political observers, deja vu escapades of protest made against police brutality. Cries of outrage, newly politically conscious, students beat chants strumming in the air. An old G stands wearing a photo t-shirt of a slain victim, next to a white 80-something-year-old nun who marches between a Chicano hipster with faded jeans, a b-boy breaking against the silence of a moment, and a young black girl with bright colored barrettes that click when she walks. They along with others are all under arrest, forced to comply with euphemistic Jim Crow laws. 152 people lined up along the sidewalk, punched faces into cement, bent wrists and pushed in spines, plastic ties cutting deep in the multicolored flesh of engaged community members chanting, Basta ya, enough already. I read on my computer, flipping through the various blogs, montages of pictures from the day, eating breakfast in Santa Barbara, 5 hours south of so much pain. I see images, intergenerational, multiracial, images of anger and sadness, revolting and coiling up to the day's sentencing. After being found guilty by a jury, members of his peers, Johannes Merschli, once a young BART police officer, will serve 2 years, not including already time served, 290 days, for involuntary manslaughter of Oscar Grant. This means only 440 days behind bars, 1,320 meals, 10,560 hours of inhaling prison air while Grant's 4-year-old daughter lives a life sentence, fatherless. Outside the courtroom, members of the Black Rider Liberation Front stand with black leather gloves, fists raised in the air, black berets adorning heads, photocopies of Black Panthers now extinct. Wanda Johnson, Grant's mother, clutches the t-shirt of his cousin, while the prosecuting attorney is off to the side defeated, meditating in the shock of the realization that 2012 is not post-racial no matter how many Obamas are elected into office. I read the blogs. I read the blogs of angry Bay Area community members. Outrage pours into the type keys, electronic markings of despair, hopelessness, and rage. Their words and photographs, like matches, ignite memories of other racial injustice. Emmett Till open casket wounds gouge my heart. Fong Lee, young, aspiring Hmong teenager, riding his bike in a park, was murdered by Minneapolis police who planted a gun after he stopped breathing. Amadou Diallo, a 22-year-old Ghanaian videotape salesman, was shot 4 times by NYPD was shot by 4 NYPD police officers, 41 bullets rupturing his dreams of studying computer science. Manuel Jimenez, 37-year-old Guatemalan immigrant, was shot twice in the head by an LAPD who played the blame the victim all the way to the press. And yes, I could speak till my throat gives way, crackling the names, lists and lists of too many men of color killed by police, triggering fearful acts, racist bullets, cutting open marked flesh of otherness. And yet I cannot stop writing here, cannot stop speaking here, at the writing of the names remain only within the called out deaths. Their memories of pain choke esperanza of my being into dust, felt ashes of immobilizing depression. I have to keep writing, reading, believing, seeing the imagery of transracial community building that erupts from the sorrow cries of lost ones loved. I have to touch the mural, bumpy wall of street painters whose brushstrokes erect altars honoring Grant's passing. I have to remember the mujeres, Kelly Flor y Gloria Galvez, who grip signs outside of Clara Folt's Criminal Justice Center. I have to hold on to the mixed race crowd of everyday folks, blacks and women wearing t-shirts that say, I am Oscar Grant, who link arms with brown faces, Chicanas holding neon pink poster board signs that read, Somos todos Oscar Grant. I have to meditate for healing, light candles for awakening, burn incense for memories that spark new beginnings, because we, the living, cannot let our spirits for racial justice be erased by the breath of men of color who have passed. We have a community responsibility to keep alive the stories that fail to make headlines in white stream media. Death holds no justice, but memories, mobilization, acts of healing, connecting black, brown, yellow, red bloodlines of colonization, survivors of race wars, our cuentos in solidarity carve spaces of imagined new beginnings. Together we chant, Basta ya, enough already.